Welcome to another episode of Founders Club. Today I'm going to be talking to Brent Bowers, the founder of the Land Sharks. He's also making $50,000 a month passively investing in land, and we're going to break down all of his systems in this land investing masterclass. We're going to break down how he's getting deals for 50 cents on the dollar or less, his multiple exit strategies for quick cash, and all of the different ways that you can earn cash flow investing in land. If you have any questions, put them in the box down below. Make sure you elbow drop that like button so other people just like you can find this video. And if you like money and you like real estate, this is the show for you. Hit that subscribe button and we'll see you on the inside.
Welcome to Founders Club, the show for real estate entrepreneurs. Welcome, everyone. I've got Brent Bowers on today, and we are going to be talking about land investing. And very excited to kind of jump in with you. I know that you've been a very successful land investor for a long time, and excited to learn about land because it's something that I haven't done a whole lot of myself. So excited to jump in and learn from one of the best in the game.
That's awesome. Thanks for having me, Oliver. Appreciate you having me. Thanks for taking the time. Super honored.
So let's just kind of jump right in, right? So you are the founder of Land Sharks and also Vacant Land of the Free, which I like the name on that, by the way. But why don't we start by just kind of like how you got into the business?
Yeah, I mean, I started, I really actually started out as getting my real estate license in 2007. It took me 3 times to pass the dadgum test, so I'm definitely not a good student or a good test taker. I would leave I graduated high school in 2004, and I actually went to college 2005 to basically get my license, and then got hit with a hurricane. And it took me a couple years to get the darn thing, but I thought I had to be a real estate agent to be a good investor, because I was like, hey, I'm going to have the deals come across my desk all the time. Well, the second I signed up with a brokerage, which was Exit Realty, the first deal that came across my desk, I pulled the trigger and bought it as a rental property. I had to borrow the earnest money deposit from great grandma. So I'm sad to say I didn't have like a ton of money back then. But I paid her back because I got paid a commission for buying that house. And, everyone knows what happened in 2008. I was actually trying to use my real estate license to help people buy and sell houses, and I wasn't getting really any listings. So I resorted to driving people around to find them a rental property in Florida during the summer. And I think I got paid maybe $300 a week to shuffle these people around if I was lucky. So I kind of threw in the towel for a little while. I actually quit. I kept my one rental property I got, kind of put things on pause, joined the military so I can go back to school and kind of regroup, and was out of the country for several years, a couple deployments to Afghanistan. Come back in 2013, I hit the ground running again. Bought a bank-owned foreclosure, fixed that one up, refinanced it, pulled cash, got another property, and then got to my 4th property by the end of 2015, and that was a triplex. And I had a problem though. I had all these rentals. I had 4 rentals, actually 4 rentals. One was a triplex, and then the other 3 were single families, but I was broke. I was maxed out. I was leveraged, and I had to find a better way. So I started wholesaling houses. And as an Army officer, I had a super tight, schedule. I was working like crazy. I was only working half days, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. I got to spend before 6 a.m. and after 6 p.m. But I was like, I knew something needed to change. I knew I had to find a better route because I was competing with all the other wholesalers on my limited time, and I heard about land. And I just pulled the trigger and haven't stopped since 2015. So really since 2015, we've been doing some incredible land deals, building a passive income, doing a lot of things that most people don't even mess with. So there's a lot of opportunity. There's like virtually no competition in it.
Yeah, I think that's what's actually really interesting to me about the land niche is that it doesn't seem very competitive. I think a lot of people don't really know what to do. Like, wait, land doesn't cash flow. Like, why, why land? So I'm excited to get into a little bit more of that. But what attracted you initially to land?
Well, I'll tell you, I was searching for more answers because I was not getting too many contracts on houses at discounts, because I would like run out on my 1 hour lunch break, meet the seller, build rapport in 3.5 minutes, and then take the other 3.5 minutes I had to get the thing under contract. And sometimes I could do it, but if I didn't leave there with a contract, I was never going to get a contract. I didn't follow up good enough. But I was searching for answers one day, coming back from a crushed appointment. The guy's like, no, I got 6 other of you guys I want to talk to before I sell my house. Do you think I'm stupid? So I'm like searching for podcasts. And I hear about this guy, like he's making an absolute killing buying land at massive discounts. And he's like flipping it overnight for 3X, 4X. Like he's just quadrupling his money like while he sleeps.
Wow.
Like, you know what? I've got a tax delinquent list. The people behind on their taxes, and I've got about 600 parcels of land that I have not mailed. I mailed them like a handwritten postcard saying, "Hey, I'd like to buy your land. If you're interested in an all cash offer, no hassle, call me." Well, my phone exploded. Well, I had time to return about 20 of those phone calls. Out of those 20 phone calls, I did 2 deals within about a 3-week time frame, to where I netted $4,500 on each one of those, and I was like hooked after that. And I didn't have to go meet this. I didn't have to meet a seller. I didn't have to drive anywhere. Now, granted, I did check out the land, but it was on my time. They were not pressuring me. I was not in a rush. And I was like, this has got to be too good to be true. And the whole fact about cash flowing, my second land deal had me cash flowing at $400 a month, and that covered my car payment. And the second one we did covered like the grocery bill. And then we just kept covering things until all of our expenses were covered, and literally I was financially free, and I was able to start planning my exit out of the Army.
And so you were doing all this while in the Army at the same time?
Yeah. And just had a newborn baby, then a second, then a third one. So we were busy, like, a body in motion stays in motion.
That is very impressive. So what I'd really like to break down is, and I did a little research on this as well, and found some actually pretty creative ways to make money with, land, real estate investing. I think that, again, like the thing I hear all the time is that land doesn't cash flow. So people can't really wrap their head around it. But when I started kind of researching all the different ways that people make money on land, I was like, oh, it's actually pretty creative. But I want to kind of break down a couple of those with you, and maybe just kind of start at a high level on how you make money with land.
Yeah, I'd love to. Absolutely.
Oh, I got a comment here from Eric Upchurch, my Army brother. Also, I'm in a mastermind with Jack Bosch, who made me interested. Nice job.
Heck yeah. Hey, Eric, how are you?
So shout out to Eric. But yeah, let's kind of break down how you make money investing in land.
Yeah, let me just break it down. I'll tell you about one of my students out in Idaho. He was a real estate broker for 30 years. He was actually I was a little worried training this guy. Like, he's a real estate broker, very kind of been doing the same thing for a while, just very successful at it too. Literally, he had a $113,000 net profit in the last 30 days. He's just buying land at a discount in Idaho and basically tripling his money when he sells it. How I prefer to make my money is the cash flow side. I'll sometimes get cash flow for 10, 20, 30 years on a piece of land. And how do I do that? And most people drive by land every day and they don't even look twice at it, because there's no houses on it. There's no apartment complexes. There's no storage units to make money. And I'll tell you what I don't cash flow on is some of the rentals I've purchased over the years. And that one in 2007, I got rid of that thing in 2019. That thing sucked. I never cash flowed on it. I've done better on others. I learned from all my mistakes, but I
hear you. And what's cool about land is it's just land. It just sits there. You don't need to upgrade the roof. You don't need to fix the toilets. You don't need to do any of that.
That's so true, man. I can't agree with that more. But how do I cash flow on it? I buy on margin of safety, like Warren Buffett. I buy not what it's worth. I buy it at a discount. And like, what kind of discount do I like? As much as possible. Like as little, I like to pay as little as possible. But if I'm going to buy it and I'm going to seller finance it to you, Oliver, and the reason why I like seller financing is because more people have $500 a month than $5, $10, or $50,000 in the bank account. Americans think on how much is it going to cost each month. I mean,
Right.
like some of these Chevy trucks are like 90, or these diesel trucks now are like $90,000. And I see high school students driving them because they can pay a monthly payment. Their parents can pay a monthly payment. So that's how we sell our land. That opens up a bigger buyer box, a bigger buyer pool. And they don't care what they're paying, the total amount or the interest rate, as long as they can afford that monthly payment. So that's how I cash flow it. I buy it at a discount and I sell it at retail and then add interest to it.
I love it. So I want to break all that down because I'm very interested by this. And then some of the ways that you cash flow on the land I want to talk about as well. So one of the things is obviously like flipping it. Right. And from what a few people I talked to before this, flipping it could mean anything from like adding a road, clearing the land just so that it, if there's a bunch of rocks and trees, just getting it cleared and graded real nice, installing septic, wells, any of those kind of things can improve the value of the land. So can you speak on that kind of first method?
I 100% agree. All those things do improve the value. I don't do any of that. I keep it as simple as possible. I'm in the volume game. I try and just turn and burn. And if I'm going to flip it, I'm going to buy it today and have that thing listed on the MLS tomorrow with an actual land specialist agent. I'll go on Redfin. I'll select my area. I'll do a comparison, like what's sold in the last 6 months, and I'll click every single one of those dots, and I'll figure out who listed it, who brought the buyer. And then the person that comes up the most times, I'll call that person. If they don't answer, I'll go to the next person. So that's my method. Now, my father, I got him doing this. He's done like, I think 31 land deals now. Sometimes he'll clear a little bit of his lots. Sometimes he'll go out there and mow it because he's got like a 72-inch mower. And he swears by that. He says that sells these lots so much faster because they can see like what they're getting. That's why realtors stage houses. Because most people don't have the vision to see what it will look like whenever they own it or what the property boundaries are.
So that's a perfect example. Staging a house. It's the same thing. Now you're staging the land. I like that. Yeah, so that's true. Cool. So another method was converting the raw land to improved land. Can you talk about that a little bit?
So I don't do it, and there's mostly because I'm just that passive, AKA you can call me a lazy investor. I just want to cash flow on it or just flip it and make my profit and run. Okay. So even when I renovate houses too, we have I think we had 3 going on in the last 30 days. And I try and do the minimum sometimes. Like one we just bought, we just cleaned it and fixed the deck so it didn't fall down when people were showing the property. But I do the minimum so I get the maximum profit rather than a higher amount, all that. So I try and get in and out as fast as possible with as little capital as possible into it. So I hope that I don't really do any improvements to the land at all.
No, that's cool. So then let's turn this on its head. Let's break it down the way you do it, because I like what you're saying. It sounds to me like you're just buying it and then you've got a method for flipping it fairly quickly and turning it into money. So let's definitely talk about that.
And yeah, I want to also tell you there's also an IRS tax code incentive, and I can't quote the actual code. I could have like a month ago, but it just disappeared out of my mind now. I saw it there for a second. But they're basically, when you sell or finance a piece of vacant raw land with 0 improvements on it, I mean like not even a culvert and a driveway going across it, you're able to break up that monthly payment that you get for it. Rather than say I sell or finance you this house and I'm going to make a profit of $80,000. Well, the IRS will make you pay in advance the taxes on that $80,000 on a single family residence. Now, and I'm not a CPA. Hopefully I'm saying this exactly the way it is in the tax code. But as far as a vacant residential, that's the key, residential, vacant, unimproved, completely raw. If I get an $80,000 profit and I break it up by over 120 months, the IRS will only tax me on what I actually collect for that year, which is actually huge if you think about it.
Yeah, that's a great distinction.
I mean, we created over $1 million in notes in the past, I don't know, probably 2.5 years. If I got taxed on all that, I would probably have to go get a loan just to pay the taxes. Well, I know I would absolutely have to get a loan to pay the taxes.
Yeah, that's actually a great point. So walk me through kind of your process, because I'm very interested in everything you're saying, and this is actually really cool. So where are you finding the deals, one? And then it sounds like your exit strategy involves a lot of seller financing. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep, 8 out of 10 times I want to seller finance it. Let me
all those tax advantages you just mentioned.
What's that? Say that again.
Because of all those tax advantages you just mentioned, or just because of ease of exit?
So all of it, all the above, plus lifestyle design. Me and my team know what we're going to make 30 days from now. Like flipping a house, like we get paid a big check, and then it's like, I got to go find another one of these. But at least we know every time we do a land transaction, we're going to add to that passive income each month. So let's give the listeners like some exact steps of what to do. First we got to pick our playground, pick an area. I love Florida. I'm in Colorado. I'm in Arizona, trying to get in Texas. Utah's another great state. California's another great state. Anywhere it's not super dense, I feel that this really has worked for me personally. So I generally like to pick an area that's like booming, exploding, and go just on the outskirts of it, because there's still opportunity. Or, hey, maybe Tesla's coming in or Facebook's coming in, and I get somewhere close to that and just start buying whatever I can. So there's two methods. You can go for the infill buildable lots. That's basically a lot that a spec home builder can put a house on fairly easily, because you got sewer and electric and water pretty much at the lot lines. So you can buy those, literally get one under contract at 50 cents on the dollar, and either buy it and throw it on the MLS and sell it for retail, or get it under contract and sell your contract to a builder by signing that contract or wholesaling it. So that's a method we do. And that brings us in quick cash to be able to finance the stuff that I seller finance. And just to break that down, you're finding a piece of vacant land that's infill ready for builders, and then basically just putting it on the MLS as a build ready lot, and then just or just assigning it straight to a builder or a real estate investor. You got it. Perfect, Oliver. That's exactly what I mean by that. And I've got a cash buyers list of a little over 11,000 people now, but it started with one. It just started with one person. And it's funny, in the beginning, I was also wholesaling houses, and I had my house wholesaling cash buyer list over here, and I would get a piece of land and I'd throw it on Craigslist. And it was funny because one day, one of my cash buyers found my Craigslist listing. It was, why didn't you let me know about that? I build new houses, and I had no clue. And it just it was like a light bulb went off. I was like, wait a minute, flippers build houses? They don't want to compete after the stinky cat pee houses. So I realized a lot of people don't realize this. Like, if you have a cash buyers list, they buy land too. Maybe not all of them, but some do. So let's talk about the second method that I really prefer. But I wish I could do this 10 out of 10 times.
And just 1 second before you get to that second method, I just had Eric put a question in the chat. Can you do this remotely, or do you have to be in the local area?
Yeah, I mean, I did probably 10 land deals in Colorado, and I'm from Florida. So I got my dad started in it, and we started doing it. Well, now I guess I had boots on the ground there in Florida.
Okay.
So yeah, I was doing it remotely, and then I bought the land in Arizona. I bought 117 parcels. I've personally never been to that county.
Great. Okay. So it sounds like yes.
Yes. Easy answer. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So let's get to that second strategy, your favorite strategy.
Yeah. The second strategy is still, you're on the outskirts of that city, that explosion, the growth, and maybe even further out. I call that the recreational land, the stuff that you're not going to see the path of growth get to for at least probably 4, 5, 6, maybe 10 years, and sometimes maybe never. That's the stuff I like to buy at 30, maybe 40 cents on the dollar. And if I can get it cheaper, I will absolutely do that. And then I'll turn around and put it out there on Facebook and Craigslist and all the land websites for $2,900 down, $500 a month for the next 10 years or 5 years. I've even got 30-year notes, which is really cool because I'm going to be paid for 30 years on some of these deals.
That's amazing.
So that's my preferred method.
So I like that, and that's very interesting to me. So let's take one step back, because one thing that I keep hearing you say, and shout out in the chat, we got Founders Club always bringing the value. Love it, Oliver. Thank you for that. But what I hear you say consistently is, I'm buying it for 50 cents on the dollar. I'm buying it for 30 cents on the dollar. It sounds like you're buying these deals well below market value. So that has my ears perked up. Let's talk about how you're doing that.
Yeah, I mean, how I'm doing it. Okay, so first, I've talked about picking that playground, picking that county. Next, we got to find a list of landowners. And if you'd like, I can share the places I'm finding it, which is
might as well.
The tax delinquent list, which that's a very small list, like and sometimes it's very hard to get. So I recommend the second option. Just go straight to priced.com or PropStream and literally just pull the vacant land list for the entire county and start mailing the dadgum things. Like, that's it. Like, pull the trigger. And then you got to communicate with them. How do I like to communicate? I just mentioned it. Mail. Well, another method is huge right now. People like to text and cold call. I own over 280 something parcels of land. Do you know how many texts and phone calls I get for people asking me to sell it?
How many?
Not a single one.
Yeah.
But our rental properties and the apartment complex I'm a partner in, I get texts all the time about that thing. So there's that just shows me right there, there's no competition in this. So we communicate with them, and then we make a deal, make an offer, and get that thing purchased or get it under contract. And a lot of people, ask me, like, why do you got to get it at such a maximum discount? Well, one, like, I want my margin of safety. I want my buffer. Like, I want that thing so low. So if I make a mistake, if I buy a piece of land that I think is worth 50,000 and it's really only worth, say, 30, and I bought it at literally 50 cents on the dollar, I still paid 25 grand for it. So I still didn't overpay for it. And then I can just seller finance it for 30 years and still make compound interest on it.
That's really great. So your community, it sounds like you're acquiring these lists of landowners. You're sending them a mail piece. What is the message? Because obviously it's not, hey, I want to buy your house or your land for 50 cents on the dollar. So walk me through what the messaging is like on that.
Yeah, and I can share the exact offer letter I use with your listeners if you like, but I like
that'd be awesome.
I call it my LOL, my land offer letter. I like to make an actual offer on the piece of land, and that priced.com I told you about, priced.com, and I can give a link for that. Listeners will get the first 400 records for free. So basically, They can start mailing tonight. But that's price.com/the land sharks. You can start literally pull a list of land, and it tells you what the market value is, how they determined it. So they look at like Redfin and Zillow and LandWatch, and they figure out, okay, it's going for 3,000 an acre. You got 3 acres, so 3 times 3 is $9,000. And let's just say you want to do a 50 cents on the dollar offer. So you're going to offer 4,500, and you just select it and tell the mail house, hey, merge this letter with this list, and it's gone, it's out. And that LOL I use, the land offer letter, it's the landsharks.com/LOL. That's the exact letter I use to communicate with these sellers. And here's what's cool. They sign it and send it right back. For every 500 of those I send right now, I get one deal. And it's usually less than 50 cents on the dollar.
That's really amazing. I mean, I hope you guys are catching that, because that's amazing profits. And so are you saying you're actually putting the offer price in that land offer letter? So right up front, it's, hey, I'm interested in buying your piece of land for $4,500. Call me if you're interested, type of thing?
Or text me or fax this letter back signed, or email it or snail mail it. And I'll even give them a business reply. They can just put it right back in the mail. Now, after I send that and I get some hits, I'm going to turn around and then send a postcard, because some people won't open that letter, or they'll throw it away because they got pissed because they want a big bag of money, and then they'll call on that postcard, and we build a relationship, and we follow up. I mean, on average, every piece of land we buy with that postcard, we have to probably talk about 12 times, like 12 touches. So I like the LOL better because my acquisition manager is not like 100 phone calls a day following up. We literally just get the letter in the mail and it's like, oh, there's another deal. We call it the LOL because we laugh out loud because we just got a freaking awesome deal.
I love it. Yeah, and what a great filter too. I mean, you're only getting people reaching out that are serious. They already know your offer price. There's probably not a lot of back and forth. It's probably like, yeah, I want it, or no, I don't.
Yeah, there is back and forth sometimes when we screw up and we offer too much. But we still get those deals sometimes too because we just follow up and be like, hey, we made a big mistake. Like, we're not perfect. Excuse me, we're not perfect.
Okay, so you send the letter out. You get a couple bites. What happens next? Are you using like an option contract, or go ahead?
Yeah, they just signed a purchase agreement. So we do a couple things. We'll send them another, like an actual kind of a little bit more meatier purchase agreement that will allow us to sign it if we like. So we'll docu-sign them a purchase agreement, get it under contract. And if it's less than $5,000, and we're probably just going to have our title guy do all the due diligence and research and make sure there's no like liens, encumbrances, or IRS tax liens. But if we're going to buy it for over $5,000, we just send it to the title company, let them do their thing. And we do our first, second, third look, almost like a quarterback, looking for what receivers open. Are we going to buy this thing and turn around and seller finance it? Are we going to wholesale it? And usually, I'll tell you what determines that. It's usually me and Jen, like, okay, what's in the bank account? Like, Jen's she pretty much runs the land and house company. So can we afford to buy this, or do we need to wholesale it? Or are we going to buy it and then turn around and sell it really quickly? So that's like our second, third look.
And you're wholesaling it to just that list of buyers that you've built up over the years.
Yes. And if we don't have a list in that area, we will. And for any listener out there, you definitely want to talk to a real estate attorney to make sure you're not stepping on any toes or acting like a broker. Because I'm assigning the contract. Some, like Illinois, they don't even allow that. So you just want to know your state laws and rules. So what I'll do though, if I'm going to sign the contract, we'll get signs out. We'll get things on Facebook and post on Craigslist and Land Century. Like, we go everywhere. I want to be omnipresent. I want anybody looking for 5 acres to figure out, like, okay, this guy's got 5 acres for sale. And then we add them to our buyers list because we can only call for one person, but hopefully we add 50 buyers in that area.
I love that. So then let's talk about that. So you get the property under contract, you decide to either basically keep it or wholesale it. Let's break down how each scenario works. Let's say, and it sounds like based on how much cash you have available is what makes that decision.
It's a super easy decision.
So let's say you have the cash available and you want to move forward. What happens next?
Yeah, so we'll buy it through the title company, and we'll be simultaneously, and I call it immediate profits in my course. We'll be simultaneously advertising this thing because we have equitable interest. We got it under contract. We're on the way to closing, and we tell our buyer that, hey, we're not closing for another 23 days. Go ahead and get your earnest money deposit to the title company. And let's just say, for instance, I'll give you a buildable lot we just did that we actually seller financed, which I don't seller finance too many buildable lots. So this was kind of a different one. We were buying it for $16,000, and we found a buyer that was willing to put $16,000 down and pay several hundred a month for the next like 5 years. We're selling it for a total purchase or total sales price of $35,000. We didn't hit our 3x goal on that, so we're basically doubling our money. But here's what's really cool: is we're going to be profitable within a couple months after closing costs. I'll get all my money back out. My risk is gone. And if I had it to do over again, and my team always forgets this, and so do I. I'm guilty of it. We always forget about closing costs with the title company and this, that, or back taxes. So we should have asked for like $18,000 down, and we would have been profitable from day one. But so learn from me. Anybody listens, learn from me.
Yeah. So that's a good distinction. And then you're just then you create a note and you hold the note, and then you get your $16,000 back in that last example. So that's great. You get almost all your money back right away.
I never put the $16,000 down. I never put the $16,000 down. So I really only had to come to the table with about 1397 or something like that.
That's great.
But yeah,
and then
note.
And then you close, you hold the note, and they pay you for the next however many years, or refinance you out.
You got it, Oliver. Yeah, and as soon as he goes to get his bank loan to build the house, that the bank's gonna be like, "Oh, who's this guy? Get him out of here!" Like they don't want junior liens.
That's great, and that's when you get your second exit.
There we go. We get our money back. And I used to be like, "Oh man," like because I had one that was a 30-year mortgage, and I was like, "I hope he never pays off, at least for the first 5 to 7 years," because, like, I mean, Albert Einstein said it very well. It's like compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. So like I'm sure a lot of brokers listening to this, they know about that. Like a 30-year mortgage at 6%, if you get a $200,000 mortgage at 6% over 30 years, you never refinance, you pay that mortgage for 30 years, you're going to pay back over 420 grand. That's not 6%.
Yeah.
So
nowhere near it.
And the banks know that people move every 5 to 7 years. So it's all front loaded interest for the first 5 to 7 years. I actually think they move more often and refinance more often than that. But I was like, man, if they just have it for 5 years, that'd be pure interest. I was like, I hope they never pay it back. And then they did. But then I was like, wait a minute, we just got our money back sooner. Velocity of money. We just turned it over and did something else with it. So I was like, why am I worried about that? Like the little things that get in our heads.
Yeah, that's funny. And then in the other example where you're wholesaling it, is that just you're assigning it and collecting a fee?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm just selling my contract is all I'm doing. And generally people ask me, hey, what do you want to see as far as a profit on that? Like, you're not 3X in that. Like, if you're buying it for 100, you got to sell it for 300. I'm like, no, absolutely not. Like, if we get it for 100 and it's worth 150 and we can assign it for 110, that's a $10,000 assignment fee. Like, that's amazing. Perfect profit for me.
Great. Very cool. Yeah, that's amazing. And then in terms of purchasing these deals, are they financeable or are you just using cash? Talk to me about that.
Yeah. So sometimes I'll use like a partner where they come with the funds and we'll split profits. Sometimes I'll use a debt partner. He's a private money lender. I'll pay two points and 9% interest. And then sometimes, like, I didn't realize it. My mother-in-law has some cash, and she's like, yeah. So I was like, holy cow. So like private lenders like her, and we'll give them a deed of trust and a promissory note, protect them, have the title company take care of all that. They've got the first position. And usually it's less than, like, if I'm buying a piece of land at 50 cents on the dollar, my lender's in a pretty good position.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point. And how big are the deals that you're buying? Like, are they mainly like smaller lots, or are you buying like huge stuff, or both?
A little both. I've done a ton of deals like where I literally turn around and sell it for 15,000, 20,000, 40,000. We just did one that was 1.2 million. But here's the thing, that $1.2 million one or the $100,000 one takes just as much time as the $3,000 one. But I started, like, my first deal, I bought for $285 and sold it for $5,000. The second one I bought for $500 and sold it for $5,000.
Nice.
And I kind of got my threshold of like experience, or like, of comfort, as Tony Robbins would say, like your threshold of comfort. Like, you start on the, like, I'm not a big skier, but I think there's blues, and then it turns into like blacks.
Green, blue, black. Yep.
Green, blue, black. There you go. And so you don't, like, if you can start on black and then you go down to a green, it's like literally going for 130 miles an hour to 10 miles an hour. So I started on the greens and then went to blue. I mean, I don't even think I'm at the black level yet. There's just so much opportunity in land. I heard about a 20-year-old literally getting a piece of land under contract the other day and assigning the contract for 300 grand profit to him. I'm like, oh, what the heck am I doing wrong? And I start comparing myself, and that's the thief of happiness.
Yeah, no kidding. Those are the dream deals right there.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the risks. What are the risks in land investing?
I'll tell you, I got a little cocky on probably my fifth or my sixth deal. Like, I was just like, I can't lose on these. I'm buying them like 50 cents on the dollar. And I was like, I didn't know what I was doing at all. Like probably for the first 15 land deals, I was offering half the assessed value. Well, when you do that, like you just get in trouble because the assessed value means nothing as far as what the property is worth. So one time I bought one, the assessed value was like, I don't think like 85, or it was like 6,900. The property value per the county was 33,000 and I paid 3,300. So I didn't look at it. I didn't send anybody to look at it. And I mean, people will go and look at these for $25 and take photos and put a sign out for you. You find them on a Craigslist buy sell group. I mean, people will do like a lot of things if you Venmo and cash.
Yeah.
So I was like, no brainer. I'm paying $3,300. It's worth $33,000, 10 cents on the dollar. Great deal. I just sent them the money and got a quit claim deed. So there's one risk. Don't do quit claim deeds because they're just saying, hey, it's no longer mine. Anything that's in the past, it's yours now. I buy it on warranty deeds. Warranty deed, they are warranting. There's no liens, encumbrances, IRS tax liens. I bought one with $175,000 IRS tax lien too. Like you want to run title on these things.
Yeah, great tip.
So that's another risk. And number two, with that same lot, well, I didn't get to the risk yet. It was a huge crater in the ground. Like it was like just a pit. And now knowing what I know now, you could build like a tree house on that type of land, that's what my buyer ended up doing. Number two, this was on the tax delinquent list. Again, because the person that bought it couldn't sell it, that I ended up buying it from. But how they got it was they paid the back taxes for multiple years, and then it became deed eligible, and they filed for that deed and foreclosed on it and took it. Well, that turns into a treasurer's deed because they bought it via back taxes, and they took it. Now there's a cloud on that title for 9 years. So I had a treasurer's deed. I had a huge pit in the ground. And I had a buyer for like $27,000. I was like, this is money. Like I bought it for $3,300. I'm going to like flip it overnight. And I had my realtor list it. Well, I didn't run title. I bought it just a kneecap closing. And I find out all this stuff. And I basically went like 8 or 9 months later, like advertising it on Craigslist. I ended up getting exactly what I paid for it, but I had to hold the financing at 0% interest. So I got my money back. Maybe most of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And sounds like quite a headache.
It was a headache. It really was. Yeah. Like it was a big waste of time. However, I don't look at it that way now. I learned a lot from that. Like I figured out, I teach people now what not to do, what I did.
Yeah. What not to do is oftentimes the most important thing.
Yeah.
So I feel like we kind of covered a lot. I did want to break down some of these other creative strategies that I found. What about like buying a bigger piece of land and then breaking it up into smaller pieces?
Yeah, I've only done that one time, and I'm actually looking at, it's funny that you say that, getting on these podcasts is really cool. People bring me land deals. So I'm actually evaluating 3 right now where like one you can build like 36 houses on. So I've only done it once. So far, I used a hard money loan to buy it. And the trick to that is you want to get through like your de minimis, your environmental study, your engineer study to make sure you don't have any like wetlands, and Florida's a big place. We have to do that. Get your survey, make sure the county's going to allow you to do it, and just basically jump through all their hoops. But here's a pro tip for anybody looking to do that is try and get through most of that before you actually take ownership of it. Because if you buy it with a hard money loan like I did, that's a ticking clock. Like I'm paying interest only payments every month. So we ended up getting through the deal. We subdivided them, it went really well, and we had to get exactly $40,000 down on each one of those 3 parcels to pay off our note. So that was just my technique, but now it's great. It's great passive income on those, and the seller wouldn't allow us to do it. Like he wouldn't sign anything. But sometimes like these sellers, like they know like they've got to go through the process. So it's best to start that conversation from the beginning.
Right out the gate. Yeah, makes total sense. So this is one I actually thought was pretty cool. and I know of a couple people that have tried this out in the desert area by us, out in Joshua Tree. But they basically buy a piece of land and then either put like a tiny house or an Airstream or something like that, and turn it into an Airbnb.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of a brilliant idea. And another one, and I'm curious if you or any of your students have done this, is just renting it out, because especially here in California, there's lots of farmers that are looking for land. There's goat and cattle herders, RV and boat storage. And I even know of a guy that rents to a rock and gravel company where he just owns the land, and they just dump their big piles of rocks, and then, you know, they break them down and distribute them and whatnot. But their big giant piles are just sitting on his land, and he's collecting checks off that.
That is absolutely brilliant. Like my dad, I've leased pasture land out to cattle, ranchers. And then my dad actually leases out, some hunting land, and then also some cattle grazing land as well, which is really cool. It's almost like the best thing ever, because the cattle allows you to have agricultural exemption, so it lowers your taxes, and then you're getting a monthly income. You don't have to mow it, and
that's a good point.
You're making and it's just a bunch of wins. One thing that we're doing on a piece of land, I bought another steep property. And I thought I was going to be able to sell it for $19,000. And we just kept having people say, no, I don't know how I'm going to build on that. So I sent one of my builders out there, one of my contractors out there. And I was like, look, I want to build a luxury tree house. And he's like, well, that just happens to be a passion project of mine. I want to do that too. That's a childhood dream. So I'm going to take this property in Colorado. And now we're about to, when we pull the trigger and get it done, we're going to have an Airbnb that pays for itself. These things rent for $700 a night.
Yeah, it's insane. I've seen some of those.
Yeah, and I'm going to have a vacation home out there. So on a piece of land that I wasn't able to sell.
Yeah, that's great. So just, a little more creativity. I think that's what makes land investing very interesting. I like the fact that you're not really, you're kind of in and out quick, which I think is probably a amazing strategy, especially some of the stuff you broke down for us. And then what percentage of these deals are you holding for the long term?
About 8 out of 10.
You're holding 8 out of 10 for the long term. And does that mean that you're actually maintaining ownership, or you're just seller financing them?
Yeah, most of them I will do a contract for deed, because my down payments are anywhere from $999 to $3,000 down. Now, for instance, those ones I talked about that we subdivided, where they come in and put 40 grand down, we close those through a title company, because a realtor handled it. And I mean, most realtors don't want to do a contract for deed, and my realtor's broker wouldn't even allow that.
Yeah, I was going to say most wouldn't even be comfortable doing it.
Yeah, so we just did what the realtor was comfortable with. We did it all by state, state contract, all that. And now I'm just a bank. I'm just a bank on those properties.
That's great. That's a great position to be in too. Cool. Well, then any other kind of last minute pro tips that you would have, or advice to people getting started?
Yeah, I got to talk to a room of wholesalers yesterday, and I didn't realize I was going to get to talk to them, but they were really interested in land. I was like, look, you guys are already doing houses. It's no harder to get the vacant land list. Get the vacant land list and mail that too. You already have a buyer's list. You already have contacts. You're already in that county. Why not do the land as well? Well, how do I figure out what it's worth? We'll call a realtor that knows what it's worth. Get on Zillow. Get on Redfin. Land investing is not difficult. Land investors are difficult.
They make it difficult.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then just a couple questions to wrap up here. One thing I like to ask investors and entrepreneurs is just kind of what are some things that you like in your business in terms of just software, apps, or anything like that make your business better?
So I was, remember I talked about my dad has hunting land. I took my 5-year-old boy out to shoot a hog a couple weeks ago. And it was right before dark. I missed the hog. by the way. And I'm sad to say that. Anybody in the military listening to this is going to look down on me. I'm just so out of practice. I was shooting a short shot rather than a long shot. Whatever. I missed it. I suck. I couldn't find it. I thought I hit it. So my boy went back with my dad, like his grandpa. So they went back to the house. I'm looking out there for like 2 hours. I get so turned around. I thought I was walking the right way. I was walking completely opposite direction of my parents' house. And I'm in a cypress swamp, like trees everywhere. Moccasin. I shot a moccasin that night. Those things are nasty, by the way. I didn't know where I was at. And I asked my dad to come back to the tree line, honk the horn. It was circling around me. I couldn't see the lights. It's pitch black. I had my light. So I pulled up my phone, thank God. I had 1 bar LTE because I just talked to my dad. And I opened Land Glide. And I realized I was at the very far north end of his property, and I needed to turn the other way and just keep picking trees until I got my butt out of that swamp, because I was getting nervous at this point.
Nice.
So Land Glide is my by far best app right now.
And what is that exactly?
So here's what it is. You can use it for single family residences, anything. So what it told me, let me just, I guess I really can't show you on the screen. So I pulled it up and it told me I was standing on my parents' property, just a very far. And it shows me, if I scan over, I can see who owns the property next door. I can see the name, their mailing address. It just shows me the GIS map of a county with all the information and I can like scroll all over the place. I'm like, oh, Jimmy Jones owns that land over there. Nice.
Yeah, that's a great tip. So Land Glide, we'll have to check that out for sure.
Yep.
Cool. Well, one question I like to wrap with, it sounds like you've got some young children as well. I got 2 young boys at home, and I like to talk to other successful people to just get their advice to the youngins on what they can do to be successful in life and business.
You know what? I just heard Brandon Turner say this last night. I was listening to an interview he did with Robert Kiyosaki, and he was talking about how he buys each one of his children's like an investment property, an asset, and once it's on a 15-year note. And I thought that was a really cool idea. So they're part of the whole process, that this is going to be their house. Now, obviously, he takes the tax benefits, like the depreciation, and it's going to be worth like a whole bunch of money. But I thought that was really cool, like to just get involved in that and have your child take care of the maintenance. Obviously not go out there and fix a roof, but call the roofers, get quotes, like just be involved in the whole process. I just thought that was awesome.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. I think getting just your kids in general involved in any sort of like business endeavors, whether it's, hey, let's go out and sit on the corner and sell some lemonade, or let's start the grass cutting business in the neighborhood, or, hey, let's do a deal together and you're going to come with me and you're going to help get bids from contractors and all that stuff. So obviously they're a little bit young right now at 5 years old, but that'll be coming down the pipe shortly. I like that.
How old are your boys?
They are 4 and 6.
Oh, that's so cool. My 5-year-old the other night, I know he's going to be an entrepreneur because I was like, son, go to bed. Like I was trying to like spend time with like my wife, his mom. And I was like, go to bed, buddy. Like I'll give you a cookie in the morning if you don't get out of bed. He goes, no, I don't want a cookie. I want $100 million.
Ooh, I like that.
I was like, okay.
I like that. That's way better than a cookie.
Yeah. You know how many cookies you can buy with $100 million, Dad?
Well, very cool, Brent. I really appreciate you coming on, man. You shared a lot of really great stuff on land investing. For people that want to learn more, I know you dropped that land offer letter, which I think is super cool, but how can people connect with you and if they want to learn more?
Yeah, I just started a YouTube channel a couple months ago. It's called Brent Bowers. Please go on, subscribe to that thing. I'm talking all about land, some of the stuff we're doing in our wholesaling business. And if you want to find more about what we're doing with land investing, that's probably the best place to go is to the YouTube channel.
Very cool. Perfect. Well, definitely, guys, go check that out. Check them out on YouTube. Hit that like button and all that good stuff. Do the same for this video while you're at it. And as always, if you like money and you like real estate, this is the show for you. We'll see you on the next one.